Good afternoon. My name is Donna Feazell, and I am your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, and Abundant Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast, netnewsnetwork.net. Look forward to talking with you every day, Monday through Friday from 1 to 3 p.m. Central, so I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. This is going to be a show about kids. And let's talk about this for a few minutes because there's a number, and I found this, by the way, on nhs.uk. And I thought it has some really good tips on keeping babies and toddlers safe. And so it says right here, each year thousands of under fives are admitted to hospital following accidents, and lots of these accidents could be preventable. So here's a way to actually protect your kids. So let's go ahead and get started about choking. Okay, I remember when Brad was little, he was always putting stuff in his mouth, continuously, and I've seen lots and lots of kids are the same way. So food is the most common thing for babies and toddlers to choke on. Food. You would have thought it would have been little toy parts, but it's food. So young children may also put small objects in their mouth that could cause choking. Now, if you give your baby a bottle, this is key. Always hold the bottle and your baby while they're feeding because they like to chew on stuff too. Also keep small objects such as buttons, coins, and small toy parts out of your baby's reach. And I'll promise you they'll find it. If they can put it in their hands, they're going to put it in their mouth. Once your baby is started on solid food, always cut it up into small pieces. Babies can choke on something as small as a grape. And they should be cut lengthwise, by the way. Raw jelly cubes can be a choking hazard. So if you're making jelly, make sure you always follow the manufacturer's instructions. Do not give young children hard food, such as boiled sweets or whole nuts. Keep small silver button batteries well away from children. As well as being a choking hazard, they can also cause severe internal burns if they're swallowed. So that's a double whammy there. Stay with your child when they're eating. Encourage them to sit still while they eat, as running around while eating could make them choke. Keep toys designed for older children away from babies and toddlers, as they may have small parts. And there's this big talk about magnets when kids are putting magnets in their mouth. Sometimes you get those little small refrigerator magnets. They're going to figure out a way to take that magnet off of whatever that is. So if there are two magnets, what can happen is if they swallow one magnet and then another one, and it goes into their intestine, do you know that it can actually clip to their intestine if it falls a particular way? So be super, super careful with magnets. And, we all have them. They're on the refrigerator. You put their little things they've drawn or, crayons, whatever. But just make sure they're high enough where they can't climb into a chair and get them either. Something about magnet, kids love playing with them. If you swallow the magnets, they can be harmful again as they can stick together in a child's intestines. So there are ways that you can help kids when they're choking. So let's talk about that for a few minutes. How to stop a child from choking. Again, this is on nhs.uk. Great information right here. Okay, children, particularly those aged from 1 to 5, often put objects in their mouth. This is a normal part of how they explore the world. Some small objects such as marbles, beads, buttons, batteries are just the right size to get stuck in a child's airway and can cause choking. So the best way to avoid this is to make sure that small objects like these are kept out of your child's reach. No matter how careful you are, your child may choke on something. In most cases, you or someone else will see your child swallow that object that causes choking. There can be other reasons why your child starts coughing. But if your child suddenly starts coughing, isn't ill, has a habit of putting small objects in their mouth, there's a good chance they're choking. Now, here are the tips. Tips on helping a choking child. If you can see the object, try to remove it. Don't poke blindly or repeatedly with your fingers. You can make things worse by pushing that object further in and making it harder to remove. If your child's coughing loudly, encourage them to carry on coughing to bring up what they're choking on, and don't leave them. You stay with them. If your child's coughing isn't effective, if it's silent or they can't breathe in properly, shout for help immediately and decide whether they're still conscious. Now, if your child's still conscious, but they're either not coughing or their coughing isn't effective, use those back blows. Okay? Now, back blows for babies under 1. And then I'm going to talk about back blows for children over 1. Okay, this is for under 1 year old. Okay? Sit down, lay your baby's face along your thigh or forearm, supporting the back and head with your hand. Give up to 5 sharp back blows with the heel of one hand, that's right here, the heel of one hand, in the middle of the back between the shoulder blades. Okay, now if your child is over 1, lay a small child face down on your lap as you would a baby. If this isn't possible, support your child in a forward-leaning position and give 5 back blows from behind. Now, if the back blows don't relieve the choking and your baby or child is still conscious, give chest thrust to infants under 1 or abdominal thrust to children over 1 year. This will create artificial cough, increasing pressure in the chest and helping to dislodge that object. Now, chest thrust for children under 1. Lay your baby face down along the length of your thighs. Find the breastbone and place 2 fingers in the middle. Give 5 sharp chest thrush or pushes, compressing the chest by about 1/3. Now, abdominal thrust, this is for children over 1 year. You'll stand or you'll kneel behind your child. Place your arms under the child's arms and around their upper abdomen. Clench your fist and place it between the navel and ribs. Grasp this hand with your other hand and pull sharply inwards and upwards. You want to repeat this 5 times. Make sure you don't apply pressure to the lower rib cage, as this could cause some kind of damage. Okay, following chest or abdominal thrust, reassess your child as follows. Check them out, see what's happening here. Now, if the object still isn't dislodged and your child's still conscious, you'll continue the sequence of back blows in either chest or abdominal thrust. Call out or send for help if you're still on your own. Don't leave the child. Call 999. Call 911 here in the States. If the blockage doesn't come out after trying back blows in either chest or abdominal thrust, keep trying the cycle until help arrives. I'd go ahead and call 911 first, and I'd have them on the way. Even if the object has come out, get medical help. Part of the object might have been left behind, or your child may have been hurt by the procedure. Now, unconscious child with choking. If a choking child is or becomes unconscious, put them on a firm, flat surface and shout for help. Call 911, putting the phone on speakerphone so your hands are free. Don't leave the child at any stage. Open the child's mouth. If the object's clearly visible and you can grasp it easily, remove it. Okay, start CPR. Okay, now, how to resuscitate a child. We're going to talk about this for just a second, and then we'll have to go into a commercial break. It's highly recommended that every parent or caregiver goes on a first aid course, as it makes this process much easier to understand. And remember, there are also some good YouTube videos out there as well. If a baby or child is unresponsive or not breathing normally, call 911 and start CPR right away. When you call 911 for an ambulance, you should be given basic life-saving instructions over the phone, including advice about CPR. Okay, child and baby CPR steps. Ensure the area is safe. Check out hazards such as electrical equipment or traffic. Okay, check your child's responsiveness is number 2. Gently stimulate your child and ask loudly, "Are you all right?" Okay, now there's a part 3A and a 3B. So if your child responds by answering or moving, leave them in the position they were found in, provided they're not in danger. Check their condition and get help if needed. Reassess the situation regularly, okay? Now, 3B, if your child does not respond, call for help. Carefully turn the child on their back. If the child is under 1 year old, make sure you ensure the head is in a neutral position with the head and neck in line. At the same time, with your fingertips under the point of your child's chin, lift the chin. Do not push on the soft tissue under the chin, as this could block the airway. Now, if the child is over 1 year old, open your child's airway by tilting the head and lifting the chin. To do this, place your hand on their forehead and gently tilt their head back. Now, at the same time, with your fingertips under the point of your child's chin, lift the chin. Do not push on the soft tissues under the chin, as they may block the airway. Now, if you think there may have been an injury in the neck, you need to tilt the head carefully, a small amount at a time, until the airway is open. Opening the airway takes priority over a possible neck injury. You need to check their breathing. Keep the airway open, look, listen, and feel for normal breathing by putting your face towards the child's face and looking along their chest. Now, you need to look for chest movements. You'll also need to listen at the child's nose and mouth for breathing sounds. Feel for air movement on your cheek. You want to get their mouth here, put your cheek right there. You want to feel some kind of breathing, okay? Send or go for help. Do not leave your child unless absolutely necessary. Okay, now that was 5A. Now 5B, if your child is not breathing or is breathing infrequently and it's in the irregular breathing, carefully remove any obvious obstruction in the mouth. Give 5 initial rescue breaths, like mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. While doing this, note any gag or cough response. This is a sign of life. Now, rescue breaths for a baby under 1 year old, okay? Ensure the head is in neutral position and lift the chin. Take a breath, then cover your baby's mouth and nose with your mouth, making sure it's sealed. Okay, let's see, making sure it's sealed. If you choose the nose, close the lips and stop air escaping. Okay, if you cannot cover both the mouth and nose at the same time, just seal either one with your mouth. And again, if you choose the nose, close the lips to stop the air escaping, okay? Now, blow a breath steadily into the baby's mouth and nose over 1 second. It should be sufficient to take the chest visibly rise. Keeping the head tilted and the chin lifted, take your mouth away and watch for the chest to fall as the air comes out. Take another breath and repeat the sequence 4 more times. Okay, rescue breaths for a child over 1 year. You want to tilt the head and lift the chin. Close the soft part of the nose using the index finger and thumb of the hand that's on their forehead. Open the mouth a little and keep the chin pointing upwards. Take a breath, then place your lips around their mouth, making sure it's sealed. Blow a breath steadily into their mouth over about 1 second, watching for the chest to rise. Keeping their head tilted and chin lifted, take your mouth away and watch for the chest to fall as air comes out. Take another breath and repeat the sequence 4 more times. Check that your child's chest rises and falls in the same way as if they were breathing normally. Okay, 5C, obstructed airway. If you have difficulty achieving breathing in your child, the airway may be obstructed. Open the child's mouth and remove any visible obstruction. Do not poke your fingers or any object into the mouth. Ensure there's adequate head tilt and chin lift, but the neck is not overextended. Make up to 5 attempts to achieve effective breaths, enough to make the chest visibly rise. Now, if this is still unsuccessful, move on to the chest compressions combined with rescue breaths. Okay, number 6, you want to access the circulation. Okay, this is the signs of life, okay? Look for signs of life. This includes any movement, coughing or normal breathing, not abnormal gasp or infrequent irregular breaths. Now, signs that life is present. If there are definite signs of life, you'll continue rescue breathing until your child begins to breathe normally for themselves. Okay, let's see. Turn the child on their side into the recovery position and send for help. Now, continue to check for normal breathing and provide further rescue breaths if necessary. Now, this is another thing that's really important, and is that you are alert, okay? Try to put fear out of your mind, because if you keep your fear in, you're going to mess the whole thing up. So it's really important to only focus on the child. Don't think about how afraid you are. And I know it would be tough, but don't focus on that. Okay, now, if there are no signs of life present, start chest compressions immediately. Combine chest compressions with rescue breaths, providing 2 breaths after every 30 compressions. Okay, now, a lot of you that are watching, I grew up in the 1970s, and there was a song out there called Staying Alive, Staying Alive. Okay, so you want to do this on anybody, okay, even the child right here. You want to sing the song, Staying Alive, Staying Alive, I'm staying alive, staying alive. That's how you want to do the chest compressions, okay? You need to keep a rhythm of it going, okay? And preferably you won't go this too fast, okay? But keep a rhythm. If you keep the rhythm, that's where the success is. Okay, so chest compressions, this is the general guidance. To avoid compressing the stomach, find the point where the lowest ribs join in the middle, and then 1 finger's width above that, okay? Compress the breastbone. Okay, push down 4 centimeters for a baby or an infant, or 5 for a child, which is about 1/3 of the chest diameter. Release the pressure, then rapidly repeat at a rate of about 100 to 120 compressions in a minute. After 30 compressions, you want to tilt the head, lift the chin, and give 2 effective breaths. Continue compressions and breaths in a ratio of 2 breaths for every 30 compressions. Now, if you're going ahead, I know that this article said do these things, then call 911. Call 911 first, okay? They can walk you through what to do, okay? Because you're going to get all freaked out and you're going to forget. I know I would. And if you're going to forget, the best thing to do is get 911, get that operator on the line so they can walk you through how to do all this. It's important, okay? But you're getting a good outline on what to do anyway by listening to this. And the website, by the way, is nhs.uk. Okay, now, chest compressions, the general guidance, we went through the 30 compressions. Continue compressions and breaths at a ratio of 2 breaths for every 30 compressions. Although the rate of compressions will be 100 to 120 a minute, the actual number delivered will be fewer because of the pauses to give breaths. For the best method of compression, varies slightly between infants and children. Okay, chest compressions in babies less than 1 year. Do the compressions on the breastbone with the tips of 2 fingers, not the whole hand or with both hands. The quality or the depth of the chest compressions is very important. So the depth of 4 centimeters cannot be achieved with the tips of 2 fingers. Use the heel, right here, the heel of 1 hand. Now, chest compression in children over 1 year, place the heel of the hand over the lower third of the breastbone. Lift the fingers to ensure pressure is not applied over the ribs. Position yourself vertically above the chest and with your arms straight. Compress the breastbone so you can push it down 5 centimeters, which is approximately 1/3 of the chest diameter. Now, the quality or the depth of the chest compressions is very important. In larger children, or if you're small, this may be done more easily by using both hands with the fingers interlocked, avoiding pressure to the ribs. Got to be careful, you could break the ribs. Okay, now, if you had no response to your call for help and you're alone, continue resuscitation for about 1 minute before trying to get help. For example, calling 911. Continue resuscitation until your child shows signs of life, normal breathing, coughing, movement of arms or legs, and until the qualified help arrives. Okay, let's go ahead and get ready for it. Well, let me do something else because, and by the way, this is a fantastic website. I love this one. I haven't seen one better than this. The website is nhs.uk. nhs.uk. Okay, we're talking about, this whole thing right here was about choking. The next thing we're going to talk about, we've got about 3 minutes before we go into a break, is suffocation. Okay, number one, do not use pillows or duvets with babies under the age of 1, as they can suffocate with their face gets smothered. They won't be able to push the duvet away. Babies should always sleep on their back with their feet at the foot of their cot. Tuck the blanket in across their chest and under their arms, and keep the cot free from bumpers, pillows, and soft toys. Now, if you carry your baby in a sling, follow the TICS advice, that's TICKS advice, to reduce the risk of suffocation. That is, keep your baby tight, that's the T, I, which is in view, C for close enough to kiss, K, keep their chin off their chest, with S, a supported back. I'm going to repeat that. It's the TICKS advice. Keep your baby T for tight, in view, close enough for the kiss, K for keep their chin off their chest, with a supported back. Now keep plastic bags, including nappy bags, out of reach and sight of young children. Keep them away from babies' cots so they cannot reach them, and put them over their nose and mouth. So that was a quick one there on suffocation. Be really careful about these things. Babies are babies, they don't know, okay? Some things they'll just not do, but then you're going to get that kid that's like I was growing up apparently, where they just want to explore. Kids that like to explore are going to be more apt to get in trouble. Okay, we're going to go into a break in just a minute. We're going to talk about strangulation. And so do not tie a dummy to your baby's clothes, as the tie or the ribbon could strangle them. And this one's going to be not as long as the very first one we did, but always keep curtain or blind cords tied up out of reach with a cleat hook, for example, so they're well out of the way of your baby's reach. Yeah, you know, those little tie things right there for curtains and for blinds. Babies can get strangled on those. Okay, let's see. Unsecured blind and curtain ropes can quickly wrap themselves around a baby or toddler's neck. Do not leave any type of rope or cord lying around, including dressing gown cords or drawstring bags. If the gaps between banisters or balcony railings are more than 2.5 inches wide, cover them with boards or safety netting. Small babies may be able to squeeze their bodies through, but not their heads. Okay, you want to keep toys and garden play equipment well away from washing lines so children cannot stand on them and reach that line. One more, then we're going to a break. Avoid using cot bumpers in your baby's cot. They are a hazard for choking, suffocation, and strangulation. Okay, let's go into a commercial break. We're going to be back shortly with some more information about babies. And we just talked about strangulations, but we're going to talk about falls, babies that fall.
The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park, and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors, and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The My Pillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, My Pillow 2.0.
The best sleep just got even better. Whether you have a MyPillow or not, you need to get the brand new MyPillow 2.0. Call or go to MyPillow.com now. Use your promo code, and for a limited time when you buy one, you'll get a second one absolutely free.
Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
Okay, so we're back.
Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes.
This is
Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers.
a little bit longer show.
The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018. The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Been typical. So
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
hour, but this has to do with our kids and maybe even grandkids. So we're talking about babies, what to do for emergencies, what if they swallow something. We talked a little bit earlier about choking. That was the extra long one segment, and about choking and what to do about that. Now, all of this really good advice is on the website nhs.uk. nhs.uk. We talked about choking, we talked about suffocation, we even got into strangulation, is whatever happens about that. Also, let's talk about falls in babies. Babies, they're toddlers learning how to walk. They're gonna fall. And if they're climbers like Brad was when he was growing up, I'll have to tell you what he did one time. I could not believe this. I thought somebody had been in the house, because I went to the mailbox, came right back in. He was on top of the refrigerator. Had to get on top of the refrigerator. The refrigerator was at a standalone part in the kitchen, and then over to the side there was a doorway and then the kitchen cabinets. So I saw what he did. He was probably about a little bit over 2 years old. So he gets a chair, puts it up on the cabinet, crawls up on top of the cabinet, opens the door and swings over the door, over the doorway, and gets on top of the refrigerator. Talking about somebody freaking out. You couldn't leave him alone for 2 seconds. I mean, he was always into something. So babies are going to fall. Babies learn how to wriggle, and they'll learn how to kick. It's not long before they roll over, which means they can roll off beds. They can roll off of changing tables. You just got to keep an eyeball on them at all times, because I promise you it's going to happen. So here's some things you can do to stop your baby from being injured. Change your baby's nap on a changing mat on the floor. The nappy is what they call it in the UK over there. So change it, put the mat on the floor. If they're really starting to move around, roll over and all that kind of stuff. The second one is do not leave your baby unattended on a bed, sofa, or changing table, even for a second. They can roll off. They will do it. Because Brad was so bad at that, I just started I put a blanket out on the table, a real comfortable blanket on the floor, and that's how I changed his. Because I'm telling you, you could move for 1 second and he'd be rolling all over the place. Now, always keep bouncing cradles or baby car seats on the floor rather than on the kitchen table or the kitchen worktop, as your baby's wriggling could tip it over the edge. And they could do that, I'm telling you. Hold on to the handrail when carrying your baby up and down stairs in case you trip, which would be more something I would do. Make sure the stairs are free of toys and other trip hazards. Now, if you get your baby a walker, make sure it complies with the United States standard, okay? Older walkers may tip over more easily and could harm your baby. Okay, now watch where you're putting your feet when carrying your baby. It's easy to trip over something like a toy. And I promise you, Phil always says this, I could be out in an open field where there's nothing out there, a dime. I may walk over a dime and trip over it. I mean, I'm just telling you. So you've really, really got to be careful when you're holding your baby. Now, use a 5-point harness to secure your baby in a high chair or pram every time you put them in it. That's something else they'll do. I would get belts and stuff like that and just put it like under his arms and then around the back of the baby chair, because he would want to climb out of that. He was such a climber. Now, when your baby starts crawling, once they learn to crawl now, babies will try to climb onto things such as sofas, which can increase the risk of falling. Now, here's some injury prevention tips for parents for crawling babies. And believe me, you need them. Okay, you think, oh, what trouble can they get into? They can. Okay. All right. Now, once they learn to crawl, babies may try to climb onto things such as the sofas. What you want to do is fit safety gates to stop your baby getting onto stairs. Close the gates properly after you go through them. Now, if the gates between the banisters or the balcony railings are more than, say, 2.5 inches wide, you need to cover them with boards or safety netting. There are also these little things you can get. They're made out of some kind of rubber or maybe even silicone. I'm not sure what it is. And they have this sticky-like stuff on them. The only thing about it is you put it over carpet, it'll stay for about a day or two, and they learn how to pull those things up. I mean, babies are smarter than we give them credit for. I always say this, babies, puppies, and kittens, they're smarter than we think they are. I mean, they got it going on up there. Okay, now, keep low furniture away from windows. Have windows fitted with locks or safety catches that restrict the opening to less than 2.5 inches. That's to stop babies from climbing out. Believe me, if your baby's a climber, or your grandbaby is a climber like mine was, you learn all these things. You got to watch out for them. Make sure adults know where the keys are kept in case of a fire. Remove cot toys and cot bumpers, as babies can climb on them and they may fall out of the cot. If you've got these little day beds and stuff like that and your baby's a climber, I used to have, it was kind of like a day bed I used to have. I gave it to somebody who was going to college. So what I did with Brad, I kept it turned like sideways so he couldn't climb on it. It was really bad. It was kind of extra wide, and I was always afraid he was going to, because he'd want to jump. He'd climb on something, then he'd want to jump off of it. So he was not only a climber, he was a jumper. I always wondered if he was going to be Superman or something. Who knew? And I always kind of thought, you know what, he's probably going to be one of those people who wants to wash windows in skyscrapers. The climbing and the jumping thing did it. Okay, now, falls and injuries in toddlers. Let's talk about this for a few minutes. Now, when babies start to walk, they're unsteady on their feet, but they can move very quickly, and they tend to trip and they tend to fall. Okay, here's some injury prevention tips for parents and toddlers. Again, this is found this, I love this website. You're just going to, measurements and things like that, you're going to have to put it to American standards. But these tips are the best I've seen. And it's nhs.uk. nhs.uk. Okay, now when babies start to walk, they're unsteady on their feet. And here are some prevention tips for toddlers, for parents of toddlers. Okay, carry on using safety gates at the top and bottom of stairs until your infant is at least 2 years old. But I promise you, they've tried to climb over that too. Now, start to teach your child how to climb stairs, but never let them go up and down on their own. Even at 4 years old, they may need some help. When they're those little short legs, it's hard. Do not let children under 6 sleep on the top bunk of a bunk bed. Now, that should be a gimme, but don't. They could fall out easily. They could have a bad dream or something and then just roll over and just fall. That's too tall. Do not let children under 6 sleep on the top bunk bed. I'll repeat that one again because they can easily fall out. Now, keep low furniture away from windows. And we talked about that just a few seconds ago, but this is worth repeating. Ensure that windows are fitted with locks or safety catches. Make sure adults know where the keys are kept in case there's a fire, okay? You got a babysitter coming in, make sure that babysitter knows where the keys are if you have keys that are latched to the safety hatches. Okay, carry on using a 5-point harness when your child is in the high chair or the push chair. Yeah, again, if you're going to use a belt, you need to put the belt, it needs to be kind of tight under their arms, okay? So it needs to be kind of tight. Not so tight where they can't move at all, but just a little bit loose, because if it's too loose, they can climb up. Believe me, they got an imagination. They can figure these things out. I learned from experience they will do that. So just make sure that it's under and then on the back of the high chair if that's what you've got. And a harness would be good. That would be better than a belt. But now if it's a belt, make sure it's your husband's wide belt. And also make sure the buckle and everything is at the back. Okay, don't put it at the front because that could cause an issue right there. The buckle is best at the back of the chair. Okay, let's see. Keep scissors, knives, and razors out of children's reach. Special devices can stop doors from closing properly, preventing your child's fingers getting trapped. At night, remember to close doors to stop any potential fires from spreading. Now, if furniture has sharp corners, use corner protectors to prevent your child from hurting their heads. Okay, that's important. I know somebody, now this is an adult who did this, but I'm just showing it could happen to a child as well. So he was at work and he climbed up on a ladder. He fell down off the ladder and then he raised his head up really quick, and it was this really well made table, okay? It was made out of metal. So as he fell down, then he reached up real quick and then he hit the top of his forehead right there on this metal table, and it caused some serious issues for him. You got to watch out for things like that as well. Okay, so we've talked about that. Let's talk about poisoning, okay? They will get into things thinking it's candy. My brother one time got into X-Lax thinking it was chocolate candy. Needless to say, there were some issues there for a few days. So you got to make sure all the medicines are put up. Make sure that you've got latch controls. Make sure that it's not a latch control, because Brad used to figure those out. He was able to undo the latches quicker than I could undo them. And also be careful with medicine bottles that are safety latches. You know, kids can figure that out as well. They're smart. They're smarter than you think. Okay, poisoning. Medicines are the most common cause for hospital admissions for poisoning in kids that are under 5 years old. Common painkillers, ibuprofen, that kind of thing, are the main culprits. So make sure all medicines are locked away or high up out of reach and out of sight. Okay, children will think something like that's a sour tart or something. They'll think it's a little piece of candy that they can eat. So be careful. Okay, now keep cleaning products high up out of reach, including those for the toilet, okay? If this isn't possible, fit safety catches to low cupboard doors. Choose cleaning products that contain a bittering agent. This makes them taste really bad, so children are less likely to swallow them. Hopefully they would just put it in their mouth and spit it out. Okay, by the way, this would be another good reason. I'd say just about all, I'd say 99.9% of the cleaning products that we have here, we don't. We just use the apple cider vinegar. I like to use just the cheap white stuff, and baking soda. I use that for everything. So if I did have a small child here and they turned up the drink, first of all, it wouldn't kill them or anything, it just tastes terrible. And baking soda, all these things are natural products. I do that because I have asthma. Anything that has a chemical in it just knocks me for a loop. You can tell on the show when I have used something. Maybe I'm at somebody else's house helping them out, and I use it because that's all they've got. Oh, boy, I'm going to tell you what, knocks me for a loop. So not only that, but if I were to have a small child here and they were to pull up the big gallon of white vinegar, they believe they're going to spit it out. But if they do drink some of it, good for them. It's actually good for you. Not by the gallon, but you know what I mean. Okay, so liquid laundry capsules can cause poisoning, so make sure the capsules are stored out of reach and out of sight. They're often packaged in child-friendly colors. They see it and they think it's some kind of candy, and that's not what it is. Remember a few years ago, teenagers were doing these stupid things, like swallowing those things? Like, why you'd want to do that is beyond me. They were even putting them up their nose. Why you would do that, I don't know. So you got to watch out after teenagers too. It's not just the 2-year-olds. Okay, keep toilet gel disc out of reach of young children. They can become harmful if swallowed. They can also get stuck in your child's food pipe. Make sure bottle tops and lids are always firmly closed when not in use. And remember that child-resistant packaging is not child-proof. I know that to be sure, okay? That's true. All that does is slows them down until you can get there. You just gotta, you can't have your children not feeling free. I mean, you can't do that. They have to feel some kind of freedom. You can't just hover over them a lot, but you do have to keep an eyeball on them. You absolutely do. Okay, now this is something I've wondered about, and I'm glad to see this here. Keep e-cigarettes and their refills out of sight, in reach of babies and toddlers. Nicotine is poisonous and it can be very dangerous for a young child. I've also heard how some of these e-cigarettes can explode. Keep those away from children, just like you would a cigarette, okay? Keep them away. Check your garden for poisonous plants. Teach your children not to eat anything they pick outdoors until they've checked with you as an adult. Okay, so I'm going to click on this link right here, and I think this is important to do as well. It's the Royal Horticultural, potential harmful garden plants. So let's talk about these just for a second. Okay, and here are quick facts. If it's not a food plant, do not eat it. Okay, that's number one. Teach children not to play with or eat growing plants. You use gloves when pruning or weeding and keep your skin covered. Do not leave prunings or uprooted plants in reach of farm animals or pets. Make sure you check plant labels to see if they have toxic warnings. Sometimes they're on the levels or on the labels. Okay, so what are the hazards? Ingestion hazard. Children are mostly at risk. Now, some plants may cause digestive upset or discomfort if eaten. A small number of common garden plants are more toxic and could cause severe poisoning. Okay, now contact hazards. So irritant in sap may cause a burning sensation and sometimes blistering on the skin. Anyone can be affected if exposure is sufficient. Now, some plants contain chemicals called allergens. These do not affect everyone, but some individuals may acquire sensitivity to them, resulting in an allergic reaction. A very small number of plants have sap, which renders the skin excessively sensitive to strong sunlight. Contact with a plant followed by exposure to sunlight results in very severe localized sunburn with blistering and long-lasting skin discoloration. Now, what to do if there's a problem? Human ingestion or skin contact. If you think a child or an adult has eaten part of a doubtful plant, seek medical advice immediately from a hospital accident and emergency department. You need to take a sample of that plant with you. Do not panic. Do not try to make the person sick. Okay. Now, plant and fungi poisons information. For information about particular risk presented by potentially harmful plants, you need to call your local, I would say probably your county extension office, and you can always ask them about that. Now, fungi, let's talk about that for a second. We've got a little bit over 6 minutes left in this segment. Fungi are safe to have in the garden as long as they're not eaten. With a couple of exceptions, the effects of accidentally eating small amounts are mild. If you need to identify a mushroom, take photos from all angles, from the top sides and from underneath the stem, and the gills and the pores are visible. It is safe to touch fungi as long as you wash your hands afterwards. In an emergency, Kew Gardens, that's KEW Gardens, are able to identify mushrooms that you suspect could be toxic. And there's a link here on this website. Okay, write this down. rhs.org. rhs.org. Okay, now let's go ahead and get back because I've got a couple more things I want to talk to you about. Okay, so we talked about plants and that kind of thing. We've got enough time, so let's talk about burns and scalds because this is really, really important right here too. So a baby's skin burns easily than an adult's. This means you've got to take extra care to avoid burns and scalds. Now, at bath time, run cold water into the bath first, then add hot water. Check the temperature with your elbow before your child gets in and stay with them the whole time they are in the bath. Babies and toddlers will grab at brightly colored objects such as mugs. So if you're having a hot drink, put it down well out of reach before you hold your baby. Keep hot drinks well away from all young children. A hot drink can still scald 15 minutes after it was made. I'm talking coffee, hot chocolate, and stuff like that. Your teas, all of those things. Now, after warming a bottle of formula, shake the bottle well and test the temperature by placing a few drops on the inside of your wrists before feeding. This should feel lukewarm, not hot. Avoid heating up bottles of formula in a microwave. Use a bottle warmer or a jug of hot water instead. Now, toddlers will play with anything they can reach, so keep matches and lighters out of young children's sight and reach. Use a kettle with a short or curly flex to stop it hanging over the edge of the work surface where it could be grabbed. Now, when you're finished using your iron or your hair straighteners, Put them out of reach while they cool down. Make sure your child cannot grab the flex while you're using them. Keep button batteries well away from babies and small children, as they can cause severe internal burns if they're swallowed. Liquid laundry capsules can cause chemical burns if the liquid gets into the child's eyes, nose, or mouth. Keep them out of sight and out of reach. Now let's talk about drowning. Babies can drown in as little as 2 inches of water. Drowning is one of the most common causes of a child's death. It's often silent, so you won't necessarily hear any noise or struggle. Baths are the most common place for babies and young children to drown. Stay with your baby or toddler the whole time they're in the bath. Never leave them for a moment, even if there's an older brother or sister in the bath with them. If you use a bath seat, remember that it's not a safety device. You still need to stay with your baby all the time. Empty the bath as soon as you've taken your child out. If you have a garden pond, fence it off, fill it in, or securely cover it. Watch toddlers when they're paddling in a paddling pool or playing near water. Empty the paddling pool straight after use, then store it away. Make sure your garden is secure so your child cannot get into the neighboring gardens where there may be ponds or other drowning hazards. Now we've got time to talk about house fires. Domestic fires are a significant risk to children. Smoke from a fire can kill a child in just a few minutes. Cooking appliances, electrical equipment, and cigarettes are common causes. Never fill a chip pan with more than 1/3 full of oil, or get a deep fat fryer instead. Now, if a chip pan does catch fire, switch off the knob, leave the room, close the door, and call the fire department. Extinguish and dispose of cigarettes, please. First of all, please don't smoke around your children. They can get secondhand smoke. I've got secondhand smoke from a former employer, and I have, yeah, it's not really not fun. I have asthma. Okay. Particularly at night when you're tired, make sure you extinguish the cigarettes, your cigars, pipes, whatever. Okay. Fit smoke alarms on every level of your home. Test them every week and change the batteries every year. At night, switch off electrical items before you go to bed and close all doors to contain a potential fire. Never overload electrical sockets. Work out an escape plan for your family and tell your children what to do in case of a fire. Make sure you practice this plan regularly, okay? Now, if you have an open fireplace, always use a fire guard that encloses the whole fireplace. Make sure it's attached to the wall. Do not place anything on it or hang anything on it. Keep matches and lighters out of the reach of children. Glass-related injuries. Broken glass can cause serious burns. If you break something, don't wait. Immediately clean it up off the floor. Okay, you can also put a shatter-resistant film over glass if you want to do that. That can keep it from shattering. When buying furniture that includes glass, make sure it has a BS Kite mark. Always dispose of broken glass quickly and safely. Wrap it in newspaper before throwing it into the bin. If you own a greenhouse or a cold frame, make sure that it has safety glazing or is fenced off from children. And do not let a baby or toddler hold anything made of glass. Thank you so much for watching The Edge. I hope this was educational for you. You got kids or grandkids, maybe you just forgot about kids. If you forgot they were rambunctious, they are. And this is called having a lively child. We all want lively kids. Thank you again so much for watching, and make sure you check out that website I was telling you about. I'll give it to you again before we go. That's nhs.uk. It's a good one. It's the best I've seen out there. Again, you take care, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next segment.